I guess I could start stand up today. Probably good if we rotated. So since last time we met, I wrote some tests, some example tests. So I'll be eager to show you that. And then that's it. And then I don't know what I'm going to do before next time yet. So we'll see if we assign me anything. And no blockers. So how about you?
So since last time, I reorganized the folders. I converted my input class component into a functional component, and then used state hooks with it.
Oh, awesome.
So I did all my tasks. So now I need new ones.
Awesome. How was that? And I guess now we're done with the Scrum, so that was pretty easy. How was that? Was it really challenging to convert it over to hooks, or did you?
No, it wasn't too hard. So I tried to do the hooks first, and it looked like it was correct, but when I went to compile it, it says you can only do hooks on functional components.
Oh, I forgot that.
So then I started back over with converting it to a functional component, and that wasn't too complicated.
Yeah, interesting. I forgot hooks are restricted to functional components. Wow. Okay, well that kind of settles that. Although you can do a lot of stuff that you would normally do in class components using hooks in functional components. So it ends up really kind of being about the same. Want to see what I did on the testing?
Yeah.
Let's share screen. All right. Now I'm working off a copy branch, so this doesn't include your recent changes, but it should be easy to move them in there. So under the source folder, I created a folder called utilities, and that's where I put I just created a function for the Zoom chat parser, and we can rewrite this any way we want. It doesn't have any code in it, but it was just something for me to call, and all it does is return an empty array. And this is just what I thought of the Zoom chat interface. It's kind of the things in order that they are in the Zoom chat. So you kind of have a win. And right now I'm just saying, let's do a string. Let's not convert it to a date and time or anything.
Okay.
Who's it from, who's it to, and then the message text. And then this function Zoom chat parser takes in an arbitrary string and returns an array of Zoom chat objects. And right now it's just returning an empty array that it builds. So hopefully it'll fail some tests because it doesn't actually do anything. And I don't know if you've heard much about tests, but they suggest one of the things they suggest is red, green refactor. So that means the first time you run a test, it should fail. It's before you've kind of written the code. I guess this is when you're talking about test-driven development. It's a good habit to make sure that the test always breaks. Sometimes you'll write a test and you accidentally code something wrong in the test. You're not actually testing anything. And so it always passes. But since you think your code is good, it should pass, right? So you do actually want to break your code and make sure the test breaks if you've already written the code. But oftentimes with test-driven development, you actually write the test first.
Okay.
So depending on how much you've written, we're doing TDD, but if you've already kind of written the parser, then not. And we can rewrite this to match with yours. And I don't know, some people think that you need to keep all your tests in a completely separate section. Some people think keep it nearby. I thought I would put a test folder inside the utilities. And in here, I have that test data folder, which has that test data, but I'm not using it yet.
Okay.
And then you'll see this file Zoom chat parser. So that's the same name as what I'm testing, except it has .test.ts. So the .test tells Jasmine, which is the built-in test runner into the Create React app, that this file needs to be tested. You don't need to hook it up anywhere else. It looks through the whole directory structure and looks for any files that end with test.ts. And then when you want to run the tests, I'll do that before I show you the actual test. You can hit this Zoom chat folder test npm scripts. I don't know if you use this npm script runner in the lower left, but rather than I'm more of a UI person than a keyboard person. So I like these little buttons, but you click that and then it runs the test for you. Oh, I forgot that I asked you this question when you first do it. The other test runners I use don't do that. A for all. And then it tells us that it gives us a list of the files it found tests in, and it found 2 test suites. There's 2 test suites, they both passed. So this is the built-in test they have that tests to make sure that the app just runs. And then this is the one I added. It skipped 1 test, and then it passed 2. I guess, okay, there's 1 test in my thing that's turned on and 1 test, and then I have 1 set to skip on. I'll show you how to do that in a second.
Okay.
And then since they're green, yeah, so 2 passed. If there's a failure, it'll show a fail, and we can simulate a fail. Or actually, I'll show you a fail in a second. So that's how you kind of run the test. And then actually, every time you change a file and hit save, I think if you use this test runner, it'll rerun the test for you and tell you whether they pass or fail.
Okay.
So the actual test, this is the way it looks. So I had to pull in the Zoom chat for parser, so whatever I'm testing. And what I like about having this code, it's pretty complex to test like a React framework. But a lot of times if your code's not in React, it's a lot simpler. So like if we have this external function that has no, it's not gonna, we don't expect any React code in it, no framework code and stuff like that. It's just gonna take in a string, run the regex on it, and do it with the little bit stuff. So it's nice and self-contained. But so my kind of rules for what to unit test, some people think you need like 100% coverage. I don't believe that at all. There's a lot of times we're writing code and we're just like shifting bits from one object to another. And it's like, if I write a test for each one of those things, it's really kind of silly. So I say if there's like 2 loops or 2 if statements or an if statement and a loop, then you might consider testing it. So it's only something where the logic gets complicated enough that it's worth writing the test for. Now, in this case, we're using regex. Regex is notoriously, so the other rule is if you ever use regex, you'd better have lots of tests around it. But even if we weren't and we're just parsing through, because there's like, if you think of, there's all these like little edge cases, that's the best thing for tests, because we can put in just a whole bunch of weird text and see if they all work. And if we find a new bug out there, like an edge case it doesn't hit, we can put that edge case in. And then when we fix the code to fix that edge case, we'll know whether it broke any of our other tests. So that gives you real good confidence on that you're fixed and break anything else. So it's really only when the complexity gets past a certain level. So these all start with it. Have you done much? You haven't done any testing with Jasmine or anything, right?
No, I haven't.
A lot of the frameworks use this naming convention. So you do it, and normally you do it like this, it, and then you say what you want the name of the test to be. In this case, I did it dot only, and that's a little thing that says, I only want you to run this test. So if you're just trying to fix one thing, you can do it dot only, and then while you're playing with that one, you want to run real fast, and then when you're done, you take the dot only out, and then it'll run all the tests. So this is just the name of the test. It doesn't actually have any functionality, but it's something human readable. And then you say inside the it, you say expects, and that's telling it you want to do a test of something. And normally you would have, a lot of times you would run the function outside of the expect. So really to make it look better, you'd probably say, you know, let x equal Zoom chat parser and get the result, and then expect x. So that's the way you normally do it, because there's a lot more setup. But since this is so simple, I just put it in the expect. But I'm now realizing that's not a great example for you. You know, and sometimes you can do. Let's go ahead and just do that result. And then you expect the result to match object. So, and then you have all these different twos. Expect this two, and there's like 2 equal, 2 match object, and 2 match object says whatever comes out should be identical to what I have here. And you can see it better down here on the toMatch object. I expect one item in the array, and I expect that item to have a win of 0, a from John, a to everyone, and this should be the message. And you see that kind of matches the string that we're sending in. But this first one is just a simple test. So you can see this one will work because it's just expecting an empty array, and that's what my function, that's all my function does right now, is return an empty array. So then
is it because the first test had the dot only that it only ran 2 tests, and so it didn't run the second test?
Yeah.
Okay.
So now if I run it again, now it's saying 1 failed and 2 passed, because now it's running all 3 tests, the built-in test and my 2 tests. And then when it fails, it tries to tell you where it failed. So it expected, I don't know what this 8 and 1 means actually. Maybe that's lying. No, I don't know. I don't know why it says that. But anyways, it goes into detail. So it shows you kind of what it was expecting, and then it shows you where the error was. And so the green here is the object it was expecting, and this is the object it got. So it got an empty array, and it was expecting that. So we expected the test to fail, so it all worked. Now, if you wanted to pass this, just make this test pass, you could just do, you could just return it. And then the other one will, and yeah, it's automatically running there. So now the other one fails, did it? Yeah, the first one now fails, yeah. But the other one passed, yeah. So that just kind of proves that the test code is running properly.
Okay.
Yeah. And so kind of the next step is to put in a lot of tests like this, ones with 2 spaces in between the from and the to, and like actually this one has 2 spaces, so do some single spaces, and you might call them double space test, single space test, just whatever kind of makes sense of whatever you're testing in there. And that way, if the error pops out, we can quickly kind of see which test failed. Yeah, so that's testing in general. So I could add some more. It's often good to have someone else suggest the test, and then someone to write the code. That way, it's just more coverage of the idea to make sure you're covering all the edges. Because if the coder thinks of something, they can always add a test. So I can add some more in. So I guess what we need to do now is I need to get your latest version that has the folders moved, and then just I think I'll just copy these in there.
Okay. Yeah, so I submitted a pull request after I did the folder reorganization, and then I started a new branch where I worked on the converting it from class component to functional component.
Awesome. I don't know why I didn't see the pull request. It is definitely there.
And then I didn't know if you wanted me to leave the React information README in there, so I added it on to the README file. But my README file in here, I think, was before you updated it.
Oh.
So we don't need it. I just didn't know if you wanted me to leave that there or not.
Yeah, so I would like to have my updated text on the README, yeah.
Okay.
So did you say that is in here or isn't?
It's not in here. So what I did is I combined the React README with the README file I had, but it's not your updated one.
Yeah, I'd have to look at it. Yeah, I guess we have a copy of it somewhere. So I could probably go ahead and just approve this. There's probably not much in here for me to even really look at because it's mostly boilerplate stuff. Files moving around. So here's the README.
So then you can see it stops at regex and it doesn't include, I think, hooks or any of that.
Yeah, I wonder, do we,
I don't know if we need all that because it's just
yeah,
telling us to run and
and
eject.
we can look at it too if we ever want to, and especially not the npm run eject.
Mhm.
I kind of want to remove that npm out so we don't accidentally run it. Yeah, because I didn't. So where did I put my notes? Was it just I was doing that in the base branch?
Yeah, it's in the main branch. And so I think I had branched off before you added more in.
I don't really need that change. Too many active changes. Sometimes the npm installs, when you're moving folders around, they gets confused.
Yeah, I had that when I was reorganizing and I ended up deleting it off my computer and then recloning it from the branch and then reinstalling npm packages to get it to reorganize.
Yeah, so what we might do, just to make this a little, this may not be the recommended way to do it, but I think what I'll do, I should have done this. Well, Zoom chat formatter. Actually, why is node modules? I guess I'm confused here. Let's stop all of that. I might just have to do a full pull. What I'll do is, just to make it easier, I'm gonna just make a copy of my README.
There's not a way to just deny that one part of the pull.
You can.
Okay. I didn't know if that would be easier.
It's not that easy.
Okay.
You have to. I'm trying to even think how was the normal way to do that.
Well, what if I copy the main branch and on my React branch, will it update the pull request if I work on React
Actually, it
branch again?
will. Yeah. So if you put that README into your branch and then re-push it, the pull should be updated with it. Yeah, that's a good idea.
So let me do that.
It'd be a little cleaner.
So did you want me to keep the React README part or just the original?
No, I think that's all pretty simple stuff.
Okay, so let me just replace this with yours. So do I need to like cancel this pull request first?
You
Or
should be able to just, I think if you just push your code to that branch, have you already pushed it up?
yeah, I pushed it to that branch.
Okay. Then, yeah, so now it's updated.
It says there's conflicting README files. So I think it's
Oh, that's interesting. So if you copied, where'd you copy that from? The README in your branch?
the one I just pushed.
Yeah.
I went to the main README.
So why is
And
there a
then-
conflict? Because it should be matching.
Let me see what that says.
Oh, maybe I didn't. Yours is definitely the proper one. Are they actually conflicts, or is it just showing me that's going to override it?
It's showing me a conflict with the regex
Okay, let's resolve
line. But it's the exact same line.
Sometimes there's just a carriage return or a space or something different. I can't figure it out. So we just take all that out. Okay. Merge pull request. Confirm merge. Delete branch. It's just archived. You can always pull it back. Too far back. Chat formatter. That's all still there. And yeah, so it's been reorg. All right. So what I'll do then I'll take my code and move it into that format. Then what I'd suggest do is start in this Zoom chat parser.typescript. Start putting your code in here.
Okay.
And I just as an example, this is the way I'd build the Zoom chat object, except instead of these quotes, you'd parse the file, figure out what the win is, and then you'd put you'd put that in there rather than the empty codes.
And is this where I'm putting like the regex?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, you'll get the regex. Have you looked at how to read a regex much yet?
No.
It is actually a bit complicated, but I can't train you because I don't remember. see if I can get to. So normally you would say let and an object equal that. You can do it this way. You can also do it this way, but this way will work.
Okay.
Especially in TypeScript. You'll have to play with it some. The question is which of these to do. So there's a match, there's a match all, and there's an execute. So I think returns an iterator containing all of the matches, including capture groups. So I think match all. Well, okay, there's a match and there's a match all. Returns an array, returns an iterator. Oh, maybe just match will work. It's a lot easier to loop over arrays. You might use a match all being an iterator if it's huge and you don't want to store it all in memory at once. But ours, well, I don't know. Some of those chat transcripts. Let's just use match for now.
Okay.
And then if we run out of resources, we can switch it over. So prototype string.match return value. Their examples on here are pretty trivial. What I suggest you do is you run the match and then whatever object you get out, look at the console log. Because I think what you get is like, you get an object with like the whole match. And then below that, there's like groups. And then you get all the different grouped information that comes out. And then you'll also have to figure out that, and we could talk about that tomorrow or one of the other days on how to figure out the starting position and the ending position in order to grab out the text. So don't feel like you have to figure that all out. But I would just console.log out whatever you get from the match and then look at it and kind of think about, and then figure out how to do it rather than trying to write all the code, not knowing what it looks like.
Okay.
Yeah, and I imagine you'll get in there and then we'll need to figure it out. But this is the core of the application, right? So just figure out how to parse the data, and then later on it's all the fun part of how do we want to display it. That'll be more front-end fun stuff. Yeah. Yeah, so let me know if you have any problems. You can shoot me a message.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah. So my TypeScript functional component is on a new branch, which I can push now that the other one's pushed. My question is though, when I branched, it has all the like README files and stuff still on there. How am I supposed to submit just the changes? So it's not going to be complicated and say this README looks at this README and all that.
So that's where you do a rebase. And so that's saying take all my changes and make it look like the base of these changes was the original stuff. It's a bit scary because I don't do it a lot. And you can either do the commands, get rebase master. But I also tend to use, because I like UIs. So I like to use the GitHub desktop.
Yeah.
And rebase current branch. Now, it's been a while since I've done this because I've been working by myself for a year. Rebase current branch. So yeah, so that would mean you would be on your new branch. Then you'd hit rebase, and then you would select probably main. because that's the one you want to rebase from, and then hit rebase. Now, if you haven't made any big changes, it should just go fine.
Okay.
If you try that and it throws out a bunch of errors, that might be something where, you know, you save for the next meeting and we go over it.
Okay.
Or you call Kusha and put him through the pain of figuring it out.
I think I've only worked on the one file, the one component file, so I
it should be
don't
fine.
think I've changed anything else.
Now, I think also that if you did a commit now, since as long as you haven't worked on this, if you aren't going to work on the same file, I think the system would figure it out, because it would know that you came off of a branch before and this change came in since then, and it would actually be able to work it out.
Okay.
But it's a good habit to rebase from master. I mean, I think in the Git flow process to rebase from master a couple times, and maybe even before you do your final commit. So it's a good habit to get into, it'd be good practice. But
Okay.
in this case, it might have even worked without it, because it's pretty good as long as you're not making changes to the same file to know the order the changes came in.
Okay. So I'll rebase my current branch and then submit that for a pull request. So then you have an updated component.
So we have the functional component. I was gonna see if I could just pull it up real quick and look at it. Although I can look at it in the rebase. But when I go to, I can't remember if it what's the name of your
It's the input box component.
Okay, let's see if that works. Oh, it still says it has 5. Whenever you move the node packages, this is what happens. But don't worry. Yeah. So but source, and I don't know if you know, but the reason for that is the git ignore changed, and the git ignore says ignore the node modules, but now we have a folder that it doesn't know to ignore.
Yeah.
So it gets confused. I should be able to just delete it. But it'll take like 3 minutes for it to delete. Why am I getting all these squigglies? Is this actually it? Is this your updated one?
That looks like it, and I did not have any squigglies on mine. And I ran it npm start and all, and it was working. Are you running it right now?
What? You know, yeah, no, you know the reason why it's not working, because I haven't done npm install and it can't find React.
Okay.
So it doesn't even have TSX in there. So that's because, no, I'm still waiting for the 5,000 files to delete. What's deleted? Why are you complaining? Anyways, yeah, go ahead and do a pull request.
Okay.
I'm sure it's fine. We might not need this hello anymore. I don't know if you want to clean that up before you put it in.
Oh yeah, sorry, that was just me testing the file.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep, that's good. And then when I merge in, I guess I probably need to get that merge in quickly. If you want to look at my code, it's under Bentley suggestions. Of course, it's in the wrong folder and everything, but I'll try and do a pull request with that as well. And then you can just do an import up here to get the Zoom chat thing, and then you would do it in your function here. And if you want, well, we may not even put it in there. Maybe just go ahead and run the test and get the test working before you bother put it, unless you want to see it. You know, if you feel better seeing it, because sometimes I do that. It's like, I want to see it run. Then you could put it in here, and then you could do the alert with whatever the result is from the function. It's a good way to do it. Yeah, anyways, okay, cool. Yeah, so I'll try and get that done in the next 30 minutes to an hour.
Okay.
So I'll get a pull. I'll do a pull request, but I'll go ahead and merge it in, and then I'll send you a text letting you know I did that, and then you can go take a look at it and start writing the code that will run those tests. And then over the next, before tomorrow sometime, I'll probably write a couple more tests.
Okay.
But feel free to throw tests in there if you think of any that you want to test.
Okay.
Although now we'll be working on the same file and we'll get conflicts, but it'll be okay. It's one file. We can figure it out.
Okay. And I'll do my pull request right after this call.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, then I guess I'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right. Have a good day.
You too.